Donald Trump and all of his Republican allies are trying to make the 2020 presidential election about the threats that Americans are facing. Except they're not actually making it about the real threats that Americans are facing. You know, like election interference, economic instability, job losses, a bleak job market. No. They're trying to make it about the threat of Antifa. You know, that big mythical creature that Republicans just live in constant fear of. They believe, or at least they want you to believe, that Antifa is going to come down your street marching, take over. As Matt Gaetz said at the Republican convention, Joe Biden's going to let MS-13 literally move next door to you. So they want you to be afraid of everything. Be afraid of the left. Be afraid of MS-13. Be afraid and vote for Republicans. Well, according to a draft copy of a Department of Homeland Security report, there are very real lethal threats that American citizens face on a regular basis. Unfortunately, it's not Russian misinformation, as the establishment Democrats want you to think. It's not MS-13 or Antifa, as Republicans want you to think. The number one persistent lethal threat to American citizens, and I say that way because that's how they phrased it, persistent lethal threat to American citizens is white supremacists. White supremacists here in the United States, according to the Department of Homeland Security, are the number one greatest threat to your very existence. Meaning, out of all the other groups in this country, out of all of the foreign groups, including those foreign terrorist groups, you're still far more likely to be killed by a homegrown white supremacist than anyone else. This is not the first report in recent years that has said this either. This is consistent. As they put it, this is persistent. That white supremacists pose such a massive threat to our very way of life here in the United States. And they will continue to do so, according to this report, throughout at least the early part of 2021, if not further down the road. But what's interesting is the fact that they're a greater threat to us than all of the other groups that Republicans have been telling us to be afraid of for over 20 years. You know, look back at 2004, the election. 2004, Bush versus Kerry. We had the Bush administration, the Republicans, the Fox Newses, and the Rush Limbaughs telling us that if we vote for John Kerry, Al-Qaeda is going to come over here. Al-Qaeda is going to view us as weak. They're going to attack us because they know John Kerry and the liberals, they're too soft. They're not going to do anything. So we will be at the mercy of Al-Qaeda if John Kerry wins. 2008, same thing. John McCain out there saying Barack Obama was soft. He was weak. We're going to be at the mercy of these foreign terrorists. 2012, similar situation, except then it started to evolve into ISIS. 2016 was all about ISIS and immigrants. Trump decided to throw that in. 2018 was all about the fear of immigrants, and now 2020 is all about the fear of the riots and the protests taking place in less than half dozen American cities. That's not a real threat to you. But white supremacy is. Immigrants, and this is in the report, immigrants are not a big threat to you, but white supremacists are. Terrorists from the Middle East are not a threat to you, but white supremacists are. So it's about time for this administration, for the federal government in general, to start treating these white supremacists and these white supremacist organizations as the threat that they are. But instead, we get meaningless proclamations from this president that Antifa is a terrorist group. Antifa is not even a real group. It's not even an actual functional thing. It's just a label people slap on themselves when they go out there to these riots and protests, and most of them have been actually peaceful. Regardless of what these right-wing media hacks want to portray them as, they're not the violent thugs that we see from the right. And the Department of Homeland Security, along with the FBI and police departments across the country, know that too.